This is the Mexican port of Manzanillo. More than 4 million cargo containers are received on this seaport. It's known for its military security, with the Mexican Navy surveilling the area at all times. Manzanillo has a CCTV monitoring and control center, and even an intrusion detection system. There are more than 150 security workers here, with even more cargo workers who make sure everything happens under their watch. But the biggest criminals knew exactly how to bypass these military-grade security measures, and that's exactly what happened at Manzanillo in 2022. 20 containers that were filled to the brim with gold and silver just disappeared from the port. No alarms, no sirens, and not a single shot fired. Welcome to the story of the Manzanillo heist, where a group of criminals pulled off Mexico's biggest port robbery. On June 5, 2022, a group of around a dozen armed men made their way into a freight storage area near the port of Manzanillo in Colima state. They moved with precision, their every move calculated. They gagged the security guards, silencing any chance of alarm, and then began their plan. What did they target? A treasure trove of gold, silver, and high-value electronics. In a heist that would make even seasoned criminals stop and stare, these thieves managed to walk away with at least 20 shipping containers filled with precious goods. And get this, they took their sweet time, spending about 8 hours to pull off their operation. What's even more mind-boggling, not a single shot was fired, and there were no arrests. It's almost like they had a script and followed it to perfection. The thieves didn't just grab whatever was within reach, they were selective, choosing only the containers they knew were packed with valuable metals and electronics. It's a high-stakes game of pick and choose that had everyone talking. And the real kicker? They didn't use brute force to haul away their loot. Instead, they came equipped with cranes, forklifts, and trucks. This wasn't a smash-and-grab job. No, this was a calculated operation that required logistical finesse. So was it an insider job? Were the authorities involved? According to Gustavo Adrian Hoya, the spokesperson for Colima's security department, this heist was unprecedented. He even called it the heist of the century, and honestly, that description doesn't seem far off. What's more surprising is that the Mexican press broke the news almost a week after the crime, and authorities took their sweet time before making official statements. It was as if everyone was trying to catch up with the sheer scale of what had just happened, or trying to cover up a bigger secret. Lucky for the authorities, the heist went down at Maniobras Alonso Mineles, a private freight dispatch company, not directly within the port area itself. It turns out that the thieves made their move outside the official port boundaries, which is why the government barely had anything to say. According to the Navy's Secretary's office, this wasn't their jurisdiction. It was a private facility's responsibility. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This heist sparked a firestorm of criticism towards the Mexican government, especially President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's decision to militarize port security. But the real question stands. How did the thieves get away despite military-level security? Manzanillo is Mexico's main gateway to Asia, and with its strategic location, it's been a hotspot for drug cartels fighting for control. Yet no specific cartel has been linked to this heist. The operation seemed to be a well-orchestrated act by professionals who knew exactly what to do, because they knew they wouldn't be caught. In fact, the thieves came equipped. They knew how to use the cranes and other gear at the location. They even connected the containers to their own trucks before driving away like nothing happened. The audacity of the thieves and the scale of the theft have led to comparisons with popular heist dramas like Money Heist, and quite frankly, it's not hard to see why. With the meticulous planning and execution, it feels like a script was being followed. The thieves walked away in broad daylight with not just gold and silver, but also high-end electronics like televisions and mobile phones. The exact value of the haul remains a mystery, as authorities admitted that they don't have the figures. That leaves us all wondering just how big this heist really was. And then there's the question of how the heist was pulled off so smoothly. The lack of violence and the fact that no one's been arrested in 2 years raises some serious questions. How did they manage to pull off such a massive theft without any hiccups? Considering the way the thieves brought their own heavy machinery and spent 8 hours at the port before fleeing suggests they had a detailed plan. More than good planning, they also had a deep understanding of the facility's layout and security. The fact that the heist occurred outside the port area has led to a lot of finger pointing and blame shifting. While the state and federal authorities are still investigating, the public and the press are left to piece the puzzle together. As investigations continue, the fallout from the Manzanillo heist is likely to have a lasting impact on port security and criminal operations in the region. Port security, like always, has been handed over to the military. It's almost as if the government doesn't want to be responsible for these crimes. But despite these security measures, containers get misplaced or lost at the port often, so much so that the public doesn't even pay much attention to it anymore. But the story of this heist is far from over. Nobody knows the thieves' identities, their motives, or even the full extent of their haul. Now, what's next for this case? Will the masterminds behind this incredible heist be caught? Or will the Manzanillo heist remain one of those unsolved mysteries that leave us all wondering about what really happened? Unfortunately, only time will tell. But here's something even more serious to consider. Robberies seem to be common in Mexico, especially when they involve gold. In August 2019, two armed men managed to pull off a Netflix-worthy heist. And guess what? It was done in broad daylight and in Mexico's mint. It turns out that two men barged into the gates at a branch of the Casa de Moneda in Mexico City. They overpowered a guard, seized his gun, and headed straight to the vault, which was very conveniently left open. These two men managed to grab more than 1,500 gold coins. These gold coins are known as centenarios, and they were first minted in 1921 to mark the centenary of Mexico's independence from Spain. Now, these centenario coins may have a face value of just 50 pesos, or $2 and some cents, but they trade for 31,500 pesos each. That's a whopping $1,610. That means the robbers ended up stealing around $2.5 million in gold coins. They fled on their motorcycles before the police arrived. No shots fired, no one injured. But the real question is, how did the robbers know the vault would be open? Was it another inside job, just like the port robbery? Mexico City may be a hotspot for crime, but officials claim that the city has become safer in recent years. Now, that only means that the neighborhoods foreigners visit have gotten safer. But as for violent robberies, those are still a huge risk. And it's not just about the Mexican port or the mint. Robberies are common in many neighborhoods close to central areas. If this story left you on the edge of your seat, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling dives into the world of true crime. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.